At the ABN conference in Liverpool recently, Richard Davenport handed over the reins as president to Neil Robertson. In this 15-minute chat, they talk about the challenges of the past few years and what Richard sees as the priorities for his presidency.
So, Richard, you're coming to the end of your term. You're going to stick around for another year to give me a bit of advice. But what are your kind of recollections and review of the last couple of years?
Well, I think unexpected would be the best way of summarising it. I guess, like all these things, there were things that emerged that we hadn't quite seen on the radar when I did this chat with Tom a couple of years ago. Obviously, so our financial affairs, as you well know, so sorting that out. So no one had quite predicted that, and as you know, that's taken quite a lot of time and energy. But actually, I think has shown the ABN office in particular at its best. I mean, they very much sort of recognised the problem. It was Emily's, but almost immediately, you remember when Emily started, almost immediately landed in her intro. So it was a good test of Emily, which she passed with flying colours. And I think that gave us a lot of reassurance that we found the right person. And that's been emphasised beyond that. Moving on to happier things, I think here we are in Liverpool. It's the second meeting in a row that we've had over 1,000 delegates. One of the things that I set out to do 2 years ago was to increase the membership. I'm not sure I've done that. We know there's been a 5% increase, but I don't think I've had anything to do with me or any strategies. But certainly, I think that's something to sort of take forward. So the, in terms of meetings, the ABN's in good health. We finally got an agreement with Practical Neurology.
Yeah, well done. That took a bit of negotiation.
Well, and you will know fully well that you played a major role in that, a long-running saga.
Yes.
I think probably the best part of 3 years. It felt like even longer at times. But again, I think actually we ended up with an agreement that satisfied both PMJ and ABN in a way that I don't think any of us had quite predicted initially. So I think that was an important thing. And then most recently, of course, finally relieving our long-suffering and excellent, long-serving lay trustees, Stanley and Elizabeth, who had served for 12 years, which I think was at least 9 years longer than they originally signed up for.
Yes.
And we have now appointed 3 new lay trustees.
And some great talents there. I mean, some enormously interesting sort of skills and...
Absolutely. I mean, reading the CVs for the applications was one of those kind of humbling experiences, particularly because, of course, it was different worlds from the ones that you and I are used to being brought up in. But I think we've chosen wisely, and I think the 3 that we've appointed will prove to be really good. And I know Simon is here today somewhere, and look forward to meeting the other 2 in due course.
I guess the thing you didn't mention was the kind of turmoil in the ABN office and the way that you had to manage that, for which you've kept quiet about, but that was a huge amount of work. And I think, apart from emphasising the amount of effort that the president has to put in to sort of address that kind of challenge, a smooth running ABN office with good leadership is clearly essential to the future of the ABN.
Absolutely. And I think that's why we can be so glad that we've got Emily in place, because I think she's proven herself to be an excellent executive director, a true leader, someone who's got good ideas and will carry the office along with her. And I think you're right. I think my first year of presidency, the office was not a happy place. Let's be straightforward about that.
It's an understatement.
Yes, it was a difficult period, and we were under pressure to make sure we got the appointments right.
Yeah,
and you'll remember that we had a couple of very good applications, and we had some considerable debate and discussion about who to choose. But I had no doubt. I think within a few weeks of Emily being in post, I had little doubt we'd made the right choice, and everything since then has just confirmed that. So as I say, pretty much day one being sort of hit with, by the way, you may owe VAT to back to 1999 was certainly a challenge, which she in the office rose to. So no question. Yeah.
So looking back now, what do you think your, well, I was going to say legacy, but proudest achievements in the role? What do you think that you've moved forward?
So I think actually just getting the ABN onto a level foot is probably which we weren't particularly predicting a couple of years. We didn't necessarily see some of the problems. So I think actually just getting things onto an even footing is probably the best that I could have achieved. So I, of course, it's not I, it's, council, executive, and the office all putting together and making sure that it comes up. But I suppose and what am I most proud of? Well, I suppose the two things that stand out: the Practical Neurology Agreement, or even though again I know loads and loads of people were involved in that, so that's not I just have to be present at the time. Actually, these meetings. I thought Edinburgh was a fantastic. I mean, obviously it's my home gig, which helped. And despite the weather, I thought that was a fantastic meeting. And we're about midpoint through Liverpool at the moment. Yeah. And so far, we've both just been talking about the sessions earlier today. Yeah, fantastic. And just looking around and seeing so many people, particularly so many trainees. Again, the trainees day on Tuesday, well attended, excellent talks. I guess for most of us in the ABN, that's what it's all about. Is actually making sure that we're doing right for our members. And I think the success of these meetings kind of cements that.
Do you think there's any unfinished business? I guess I'm asking you for some prompts now, Richard.
Yeah.
In the next couple of years.
Yeah. Well, I think I might be tempted to turn it back on you and say, yes. So what are your plans? So we discussed this recently, as you know. I think there is much to be done. There always is. So firstly, membership. So we reckon we're about 30% of consultants in neurology in the UK are not in the ABN. And I think we need to do some work about finding out who they are. Why is it they're not in the ABN? Is there anything we can do to sort of persuade them to come into the fold? I know you'll never get 100%, but I think we can certainly improve beyond 70%.
Yeah.
So there's that. I think actually our whole communication strategy within the ABN needs something that we need to review. Understandably, we've been a bit inward looking over the last 2 or 3 years with internal problems. I think hopefully now that we've got those onto an even keel, now it's time to take a little look outwards a little bit more, enhance our links with other organisations like the EAN and WFN and so forth, but also just establish the ABN really as the kind of go-to place for all things neurological. And we're on our way there, but I think there's more work to be done. That's my view. Of course, now you may have a different view. Well, I'll turn it on its head and say, well, okay, so over your next couple of years, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I guess that you won't be surprised. I mean, we've been working quite closely together with all of our other colleagues over the last 2 years. So a lot of your views are affected by mine. I think the membership issue is quite significant. I think we need to review the membership's stratification, classification, which seems to be quite complicated. I think we need to understand what represents value for membership and to listen to our membership and respond accordingly. There is this, great issue about the 30% of neurologists practicing in the UK who are not part of the ABN. And I mean, I'm clearly biased, but I find it difficult to understand how you can pursue and train and complete a career in neurology without being a member of the ABN, because obviously I find it essential. But I think the difficulty is that you if they're not part of your organization, then it's difficult to quiz them about why they didn't actually want to become one.
Yeah.
But I think there are ways of doing that. And I think that, there are ways of identifying those individuals and asking us to help us understand why they're not members and maybe to consider in what circumstances they would be members. The membership, I think, is a significant issue. The other thing is about the structure of the ABN, which actually I took some years to understand. I mean, maybe you jumped on it and understood it in a more clear way than I have. But it struck me as I was kind of researching, taking up the presidency role, that there were 200 people involved as ABN representatives, either in advisory groups or on the councils or on the committees or on the exec, which represents probably about 20% of practicing senior ordinary members, which is a lot.
Yeah.
And the issue for that is maintaining recruitment and interest into those posts. And I think we need to consider that really carefully. I've completed a set of interviews for various national British posts, all of which come with a significant commitment, time commitment from the people who are offering the posts. And I think we need to consider the structure of the ABN and whether senior officers need to have their employers compensated in some way for the significant time. And it's not simply about the remuneration. It's the point about attracting people of the highest level who would consider the ABN presidency as well as another national post. We need to understand that we're in competition and we need to offer good terms and we need to attract the best people to run the service. The other thing about the structure of the ABN is that I think we probably need to firm up the role of the council and also the trustees. And at the moment, they're intermeshed a little bit with the executive. And I would very much like them to see them as the second house, the policeman of the ABN. The executive deliver a strategy and a function, but the council checks that the plans and the strategies are appropriate and feeds back in an honest way. I think we probably need to emphasize that as the role of the council so that they have a clear role. And then I guess that the last thing, and again, this is obviously reacting a little bit to my bias, is that British neurology has benefited from quite a heavy academic input over the years. We have a different structure in terms of clinical practice to other European states or indeed further afield. And up to 1 in 3 neurologists have some form of academic contract. I think that's been a strength and a benefit of ABN, but it's under threat a little. The recent report that came out from the MRC emphasized the failure to increase the proportion of, or to maintain the proportion of practicing consultant neurologists, actually, or any other speciality in terms of the ratio between NHS physicians and clinical academics. And there are other features, including the difficult financial situations of the university, which is going to make replacement and development of clinical academic neurology difficult. And I think that the ABN has a role to play in that. I think it's partly by the PhD program, which has been hugely successful. This is before our time.
Absolutely.
But we need to maintain it and we need to develop it further. But I think also we need to think about how the post-CCT posts can contribute to giving people a breathing space before they can launch their academic career, perhaps by applying for a senior clinician scientist post. We need to keep that stream going, and we need to recognize people who are highly talented who want to do academic neurology, but may be persuaded by other reasons, or it might be made difficult to take up an academic post, and maybe that they get pushed into NHS neurology, which is not a terrible thing. But I think that the balance between academic neurology and NHS neurology has really benefited our association, and we need to nurture it for the future. So I think those are my thoughts, at least for the next couple of years, and then after that, maybe a holiday. A bit like you.
Yeah. Well, I think it should keep you busy over the next couple of years. Well, I'm now well into my last 24 hours of being president. I do look forward to handing over to you tomorrow. Although actually, I realise now, with a slight tinge of jealousy, it's a real privilege to be president of this organisation. Just walking around this meeting has really sort of re-energized me. But I know fully well, I look forward to spending the next year trying to be quiet and keep out the way, but whatever I can do to support. And as you know, your council will be right behind you.
We have a great council and we have a great executive at the moment, and they're a hugely energetic and talented group of individuals who I will be leaning on, including you.
So I think we both agree the future looks bright for the ABN.
Yes, I think it does.
Thanks for listening. Please come and join us in our online community where you can discuss this and any other neuro topics with your peers. You'll find us at forums.acnr.co.uk. Hopefully we'll see you there.